I know a lot of us are getting better at that. And that reminds me, there is a really good event with Scott Groves. I can go back and drop it to you guys on the 13th about the whole calendar management thing. Some of you guys saw that on a previous Elite call. I'll drop it in the chat too. You might want to show up because I've seen this presentation before. It's good stuff. Just kind of teaching you how to prioritize and master your calendar. It's not like a sales pitch. It's more of a, you know, this is what Scott does in his coaching. This is what he teaches all his people. Learn it, use it. And, if you want to use Scott, cool. But anywho, I am going to go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. I guess, Joey, are you going to be the potatoes today and Steven's going to be the meat? Is that how we're going to do that?
Yeah, of course.
All right, fantastic. So,
Fucking Italian.
all right. So let's start out with the guy that's outside in the parking lot freezing because his wife won't let him inside because there's too much
I've
screaming.
been throwing up all morning, and my son was throwing up on me last night. So
Did you
yeah,
say he actually threw up in your mouth?
yeah. So he was sick, and it was coming out the other side. So I was just trying to make him feel better. I picked him up, made him feel better, and he reached back and just retched right into my freaking
Oh my
face.
God, that's
All
that's
of
disgusting.
disgusting.
That's one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard.
Don't you love
You're
being
welcome.
a dad?
It's the best. It's the best. Yeah.
So
Still working from car today.
okay, so we talked a little bit about this before we had a crowd watching us. What moves the needle for you right now? I mean, what's making a difference? Like, what kind of things do you do that keep you in front of the right people writing VA loans all day, every day?
Yeah, I mean, like it starts with waking up. I have a very low bar for happiness, very low bar for that is good for my mindset. So if I wake up, I'm in a good mood, right? That's number one. Because, everybody, we've all lost people in our lives and they would jump at the opportunity to wake up again, right? So it's if you lower that bar for happiness, it allows the rest of your day to feel a lot less stressful for me, right? In terms of getting in front of the right people, I am a huge past client and current client referral person. I I do gifting. I make sure that every time I'm talking to someone, like I'm in a funny way asking for referrals, but it works, and I get the referrals from them. Um, I obviously do your weekly updates. I'm in the core, if you guys know core coaching, all that good stuff. So I do that. So part of what I do, I think a little bit differently. Um, is outside of the phone calls is when there's like big status updates, the appraisal comes in, the initial approval, the clear to close. I will just immediately pull out my phone, um, depending on what I'm doing, if I have the ability to, and I will do a video on the spot. I'm a very excitable guy. I know a lot of people like I have my the videos I do for social media, and I'm excitable in those. That's just how I am, right? But I do my video, and it's very excited. It's very happy, and the agents they love it. And I've never tried to work with agents before, but I add the agent on there and I add the buyer on there. Let them know what's going on. The agent will text me on the side, and now I'm starting to build business with agents too. So that's been something I've never done up until a couple months ago, and it has been phenomenal for me.
And some people are out there telling LOs like, hey, agents are where it's at. Most of the business with agents. Spend all your time calling on agents. And I think they forget the referral part of it. And they really forget the wowing the client part of it. Offload
Mm-hmm.
the work to somebody else and move on and find another agent. And man, if this is one thing I say a lot to agents when I'm teaching an agent class. I'm like, agents, vets are actually they're like the coolest buyers ever, if you think about it. Like they generally make more money. In theory, they generally have better credit. Yeah, there's some that don't, but on average, they're much better than a lot of the buyers out there. They don't have the student loans, they have bigger loan amounts and all this kind of stuff. In fact, some of them have these disability ratings where they actually have a lot of cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you really impress them, they're kind of cool and loyal and like they want to help you. They want to send you other vets and like they'll refer you much better than some of your other clients will. Like my engineer clients don't refer me at all. They're like, yeah, send me somebody else. Oh yeah, maybe I'll think about it. No, that doesn't happen.
That triangle of trust. I mean,
Hmm.
these veterans, you're doing the right thing for them. You're talking their language. If they're sending you somebody and they know that you're going to reach out to that veteran referral, reaches out to you directly, you already have it. You already have it. They trusted this person that referred them to you with their life. Why would they not trust them with the biggest financial decision of their life? They're going to.
Right.
You have already won the battle there. Now just
So
keep impressing.
I think, for the folks who are watching that are like, yeah, I'm not where Joey's at, or, I want more of this. Like, you just got to get started. You've got the vets, you know what you're doing, you close a loan. What are you going to do differently? What are you going to do next time you have a transaction, or the transactions you have right now? What are you going to do differently about that to set yourself up without being cheesy or salesy? Like you said, you kind of like ask for deferrals all the time, and you kind of said, kind of in my fun way, which like you're not annoying and salesy, but you remind yourself, hey, if I don't have clients, I don't get paid. My kids, they don't get fancy food or whatever. And so I got to constantly be replacing the people that close, right? And I'm already in front of people that are thinking about mortgages. Most people don't think about mortgage unless they need one. So, these people are somehow excited a tiny bit about buying this house and having a loan. And, other than today, I'm not that cool of a guy to them. So let's get them excited about me in this process right now, right? Something like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'll tell you exactly what I say. Like, like I on the call, past client, current client, whatever it is, regardless of the conversation we have, I'm like, and dude, don't forget, because I live in this world where if no one talks to me, I don't make money. If you ever hear somebody whisper the word mortgage or purchase a house, fucking scream my name straight into their ear until they get a tinnitus rating, right? So it's funny to them, to me, whatever, but it's also very clearly me asking for a referral, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not me also being like, hey, and by the way, I would love to help all of your friends and family.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, it's a little bit cooler than that. Like, hey, how you doing? I'm great. I'm just out here begging people to send me more clients all day, every day,
Yeah,
because not a lot of people are buying houses. So I got to beg more than I usually got to beg. And I don't really like begging, but I'm currently begging you right now. So I
yeah,
guess that's how I'm doing. You just say silly stuff like that, right?
yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, I'll let you think about your next silly thing, and we're going to come back to you. You're going to have to at least show us one more example of how you ask for referrals in a silly
I
way.
got plenty.
That's awesome. All right, Stephen Dominic, other than posting pictures of delicious pizza and having the entire, police department in New Jersey work with you, what's moving the needle for you, man?
It's back to the basics, folks. It's just simple stuff. Digital presence, right? Google is very big to me. My name being available. Most of these people, or at least what I think they're doing is it's like shopping on Amazon, right? Who is this person? How many reviews do they have? Right? So, they potentially they get referred by a realtor. you know, these buyers go to the internet and they do a little bit of research on you. So they type my name in, they see it. So they see my reviews. I have probably over 200 Google reviews. A lot of it's VA related. It builds instant credibility and trust.
It's your first
That's
Google
one thing,
review.
but
Like
everybody could
how
do that.
how long has it been since you started doing Google reviews? Like 3 years now, 2.5 years, 3.5 years?
No, last year,
Just last year. So
2023.
so 1 year, now you have 200 Google reviews, and I mean you stand out. So it didn't take that long.
Yeah, but when I started the Google reviews, I went through everybody in my database
Mhm.
and said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? I built a Google business profile. Can you please, leave me a review?" But it's not just the buyer, right? Like what Joey was hitting on, how he does like these status updates. I'm big on that too, right? Especially when, you know, I do my research on everybody in the transaction I'm working with. So if I'm working with a listing agent that's a heavy hitter, I know it. I'm sourcing their data and I'm like, how am I going to attack this and absorb that in the future, right? So I make it special. I put special attention to detail on them. You know what I mean? Keeping them informed in the transaction, letting them know, yep, appraisal's in, we're clear, about to be clear to close. And then, you take that all the way to the end. And then I pretty much offer to leave that review for them and then in turn ask for it back, right? So it's not just my buyers that are leaving me reviews and the buyer's agents, it's the listing agents too.
So you're offering to leave a review for both
Always.
agents.
Yeah, always, always. That's how I ask for it. I say, hey, I think it was great working with you. Do you have a business profile where I can leave you a 5-star review? And right away they're like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you. And then I in turn ask for it back, right? Every transaction, I could get anywhere from 2 to 5 reviews.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome because I think some people are just thinking of it, more linear. Like I have this one
Hmm.
client, I'm close to closing, I'll ask him one time for a review. A, B, C, D
No,
versus I know all these people and they know all these people and I can help them and they can help me and I can go back to people at different points of time. And yeah, you may be a little more likely to get those reviews during the transaction. Um, but for those of you who aren't using Google and say I'm going to start January 1 or December 22nd or this afternoon, that's kind of what you did. One day you just said, okay, this ends here. I'm going to get good at this. I'm going to commit to it. It's going to be one of my
yeah.
disciplines. And that's awesome. I like it. Good
Yep.
stuff. Good
Google
stuff.
Google is very important. If you're not doing it, I highly suggest it. And then, most of your friends with me on Facebook, you see the educational stuff I drop. I drop content on there. Like that's like basic stuff, right? Just, knowledge-based marketing is what we always call it, right? So I take a little Canva thing, put a guideline on there, did you know post, and it definitely works for me. It definitely
Well,
works
and
for me.
it
So
works for me because I appreciate you've helped the whole community and myself a little bit try to lead us because sometimes I literally just copy the things that you post because I'm like, oh,
but
I
I want
didn't.
everybody to do it. That's what it's there for.
Right.
You know what I
Like I don't
mean?
have a fresh idea for today. Oh, Steven posted a good one. Okay. So, but again, I'm trying to share these ideas so that I got our mission of trying to educate people. I had a good talk with somebody yesterday who never joined VMA because there was one person in VMA they didn't like. And so I'm not going to go through who these people are, but at the end of the day, I got him to realize that the only reason he didn't like that person is because that person was out producing him. He didn't even barely know the person. And I'm like, that's actually a really nice person, nice guy or gal or whatever. And so, we went through this whole conversation and we kind of got down to this thing of at the end of the day, if you're not out there educating people and doing stuff, somebody else will. And people don't learn in one setting in one day because he was like, well, I took the NAM class once, and this is where I was going with this. And I'm like, I love the NAM class. The guy, one of the guys that wrote it, John McDade, he had the job that I have right now today, and he built this job for me, which I love. And he was good friends with Jeff Wilson and Rick Betancourt, and we're all connected to these folks. But I kind of said to him, I love this concept of people investing and wanting to be certified and learning, and NAM put a lot of energy in that class. And it's a great class. I said, but man, could you really learn what you needed to know to be a high level practitioner like in one day? No, you can't. You learn over time,
Mm.
and agents learn over time. And we learn with different scenarios and different things we read. And I find I'm learning something every day. I guess whatever level I'm at, maybe I'm almost as good as Joey, or maybe I'm almost as good as Darren at guidelines. But at the end of the day, I still learn something every day. And I don't even know how. Like I've read the whole handbook before, but I forgot something or something got
I'm
updated.
sorry,
There's
I
a
have to
tip or
interject,
trick.
buddy.
Yeah,
You know that handbook way better than me. I'm more
I do.
full of shit. Trust
I
me,
do.
man.
I know. I know.
I fall forward. All right, I
I
fall
know.
forward. I
But
don't.
my point is I've learned it daily. I hadn't learned it one time in 6 or
Yep.
7 or 8 hours,
When I had to call a U.S. Treasury this past week to
Mhm,
save a deal because of you know
mhm,
because of a 2017 government overpayment
mhm.
collection on a credit report. There you go.
So so
Shit
a
you don't
deal
think about.
right. So a daily discipline is, go back and pull one piece of knowledge. And if you say you're going to do it every single day, I've said this in the last 4 or 5 calls now, if you guys have been paying attention. If you say you're going to do it every day and you only do it 2 or 3 days, at least you did it 2 or 3 days and not 0 days, right? But if you went out there and you pulled one piece of information, even if it's not a perfect Canva post, even if it's just you cutting and pasting the 3 sentences that I emailed you guys, at least you're thinking of it, you're forcing yourself to learn it, and you're trying to teach it to somebody else, whether they're watching or not. And sometimes I find, and I think you've probably seen this too, Stephen, the people that hit you up and come to you, they've forgotten the post that they read, but they know that you know the answer, right? So he goes,
Yeah.
Steven, what were you talking about on roofs that one time? I don't remember, but I got to ask you, something's going on with this house and the roof, and I can't get you the buyer, Steven, but I'll get you the next one. You just help me here, buddy. Here's some pictures. I mean, that kind of stuff does happen, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Maybe,
I get
maybe
calls
not
all
that
the
exact
time about
example,
stuff
but
like
yeah,
that.
exactly. Because you're putting yourself out there like, hey, I do know what's going on. I'm trying to help you guys. The one thing I like what you did, and whether you learn this from us or somebody else, I know we've talked about it many times, and I know, man, when I used to call this military mortgage boot camp, we told everybody to do it. You created your own little pasture, where you
Mm.
put your realtors. You got your little Facebook group where you try to invite the people that you've talked to and got to know, and you just tell them, hey, I'm going to help you guys. I'm going to keep teaching you and giving you content in this little community. Pay attention over here, and you're going to learn some cool stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like 300 agents in there, and
Mhm.
that
How do you
solidified the New Jersey market for me. It
Yeah,
really
and it's
did.
it's great. It's great. And so there's weeks where you post 0 times in there, and there's weeks where you post five
Yeah,
times in there and six
I've
times,
definitely, I've gotten a little slower on it. I was posting nonstop in there when I was kind of dark on social media because it was a private platform.
Hmm.
But now that I'm back public, I'm trying to get like the personal stuff out there because we can't always just be business. We're not robots. The most
Hmm.
attention I get on social media is something involving pizza, food, or my children.
Hmm.
But when that attention is drawn to your page, then you spit out educational content. The people that liked the family shit is going to see the educational stuff.
Hmm.
That's the idea behind it, right?
Yeah, it's part of who you are. Yeah, I love family and pizza. Yeah, once in a while I got to work. Maybe you need me,
Exactly.
maybe you don't. But I get people sometimes who don't need me at all, and have their houses almost paid off, or they would never use me because I'm family or whatever. But they're just like, I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And then I flip over to Joey, and I think it's a good time to go back to you now, where I try to find a fun way to ask them for business. And I'll be like, yeah, if you love what I'm doing, help me find a vet. And that's what I'll say is that one of my biggest challenges is finding the next person that needs to learn the stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, Joey, you've had a good 7 minutes to think about it.
Uh,
So what's a cool, fun way to ask
no.
somebody for a referral that might get them to giggle, but actually think about doing it?
Yeah, so I'll do a pre-qualification gift. That's just a Starbucks thing, whatever. But then when they get a contract, I will send out crumble cookies, and I will cross brand with the list, or I'm sorry, the buyer's agent on there, right? But I never tell the buyer's agent. So the buyer ends up getting the cookies. It says my name and the buyer's agent's name on there, and they say thank you. They send a picture of the cookies, all that shit. So my first response to that buyer is, and don't forget, if you have any enemies that you would like to make fat for the holidays, I would be happy to send them some crumble too if they get a contract too. So it's silly. It's on brand for me because I am a total goofball. So it works for me, right? Everybody on this call has something that will work for them. What I do may not work for you because not everyone is ridiculous, and I am completely ridiculous. But yeah, telling someone to send their frenemies some fat pills for their next house. You
There's a
know,
word that John Howard uses a lot. I think he's lurking in the background here, and I love it. It's that unapologetic marketer. Like, it's just this part of what I've committed to. It's what I am, and I gotta ask for the business, and yeah, I might as well try to shake it up a little and be fun about it because otherwise, yeah, it's just crusty and boring,
you
and
can't be a robot, like Steven was
no,
saying. You can't be a robot. Like,
yeah.
and to his point, you have to have your business page, whatever, because it's for credibility. But
Hmm.
everything, I push everything to my personal page. That's the only
Hmm.
page that actually matters. So people get to see the business. They also get to see I have kids that I get thrown up on, whatever,
I've said
life.
this in previous calls, and I can't remember. I think some of you, I probably said this to you too. Like, I can teach you everything in the world about VA, if I really need to. Like, we can get good at teaching all that all day long. I can never teach you to be you, though. I don't know how
Yeah,
to teach you to be you, and so you got to learn how to be yourself on social media and when you're teaching classes, and somehow make it so again you're not a robot. You're not just reading scripts. You're taking the information and making it relevant in some way, shape, or form, right? I dig it.
absolutely.
All right, cool. So, Steven, I'm going to ask you one more thing. And then I think Bill got tied up because he's got so many loans going on right now that he can't, commit to a calendar invite. Well, he was the first one to say yes, too. So, that's okay. But I'm going to try to pull somebody else out of the fray. But one thing I want to hear from both of you guys, and this could blow up in my face. Sometimes things blow up on elite calls all the time. But like how many VA loans do you think you're going to close this year, Steven?
60, maybe 60, 65. I'll have like over 70 units closed, but most of them are VA. Just slap a couple conventional in there.
All right. Now,
Like 90% VA. That's sick, you
that's
sicko. I
sick.
love that.
It's crazy. I know.
Yeah.
All right, Joey. And this wasn't meant to be a contest, but like
No.
if you had to guess, where you gonna be?
I do track it. I just picked up what should be my final VA of the year yesterday, so that'll put me at 74 with 130 units total.
You guys are terrible. Great work, guys. Great work. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, Zach. Yeah, I know. I want to be like Steven when I grow up too. I agree, guys. In fact, pre-call, I was
I
telling you
could be
both.
90% VA, dude. Oh my god.
I know. I was telling both these guys before
I
the
still
call,
need
like,
an FHA. I haven't
yeah,
done one yet.
I know. I said after this call with you guys, I'm probably gonna quit VMA and I'm just gonna go out and produce like you guys. But then again, I probably lose inspiration real fast too. So, uh, all right, Steven. So one more thing from Steven and one more thing from Joey, and then I'm gonna try to pick somebody here. Let's maybe pick somebody who's not a vet. Kristen, are you okay hopping on the camera or Charles, one of you? I mean, give me a maybe. Charles, you look like you're
Yep.
uh in a
Charles
hurricane,
Charles
maybe.
closes way more than me, but yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if we can get their attention. All right. So 1 minute lightning round, Steven. 1 minute. I'm going to take everything away from you. I'm going to put you in a new market. All you know is you got a computer and you know VA really well. What are you gonna do first?
So I'm going to use Redder, right? This is a tool I do to source new business and locations. I want to go to like-minded people, right? So like-minded people, people who are in the VA space, right? I'm going to identify that agent, and then I'm going to do my background investigation on the agent, find out as much detail as I can on them, um, who they are, what they do, if they served, if they're a veteran, um, all that, every little detail I can, and then I'm going to call them. Two of my biggest producers that I have were cold calls last year. One was a sergeant out in Morris County. He's I think number 4 in the state for VA loans, and this other girl is a spouse of an active duty Coast Guard member. Both cold calls, and they use me religiously. So I'm going to use my data to identify like-minded people and tell them I am the best man for the job and I want to do business together. And I'm going to make the agent look good doing it. That's my
Yeah, I think John just came up with a new moniker for you, the VA detective. I'm like, holy cow, using those
I love
skills.
that.
That's
yeah.
fantastic. It's so
I'm
good.
definitely very nosy.
That's good. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Joey, I should have let you go first because it's gonna be hard to follow that. I mean,
Yeah, dude, that's bullshit.
I know.
You're a
I put you.
fireman. What do you expect?
I know. I put you in a new market. Next thing you know, Joey, you're in Alaska. I mean, maybe not Alaska, but yeah, a new market. Something happened on social media, and your friends don't like you and aren't using you as much. And what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
No, I mean the same way that I started. I show up. I will go to units. I will talk. I'll find out when their family day is. I'll start sponsoring anything that they do. They will see my face. They will get so sick of my face that they will use me just so I stop showing up so much. That's what I did with the firehouses in Illinois. Is I would go to every firehouse's golf outing. I sponsored everything, and I didn't just throw money at them. I showed up every effing time I said I would show up. If you say you're going to do something, period. I have never cold called an agent in my life, but I feel like I probably should after hearing what Steven just said.
Right.
I'm not big on it, but it works. You know what I mean? You just have to have the confidence to be able to do it, and we know the stuff, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, who better else to work with? I look at everything. I look at the lenders that they're using. I look at the lender's closed volume. I look at every detail about these people's relationship, and I just tell them like, hey, this is how I could help your business grow.
I like it because so instead of, and I'm not bashing any other programs or any other people's methods, but instead of this, friends, recreation, occupational goals. Let's go to coffee and we'll just talk about, how we like each other and we're both in the same town. I mean, that stuff's great and that stuff's fun. But you're analyzing like, okay, you need a couple more things in your business. I can see it. Here's some things, let's have a conversation. It's great, man. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Question
I
for
love it. I love it.
Steven. I have a
Mm,
question for Steven. Are you using
yeah,
MMI or Redder, or what are you
Redder,
pulling your data from?
Redder.
Yeah, Redder's like MMI on steroids.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
It- for that kind of account, do they do individual accounts or does it have to be a corporate account or?
I have a company account.
They'll
Like they
do
charge you
individual.
extra so that you could have extra people logging in. Because
Mhm.
I think what they used to do was you just get a login and people use it, but then they identify the IP address that you're
Mhm.
logging in from.
Mhm.
So if you're logging in on multiple IP addresses, you have to have like a shared account, which costs more. But
Mhm.
it's good to source new relationships. Like I'm going to add, part of my 2025 goals is add Georgia and North Carolina. I'm going to be dialed into Redder because I want to see who is doing business down there and who I could obtain.
I love it. Good stuff. All right. Well, we could all just sit here and watch Steven talk for the next 10 minutes, um, but Steven, I appreciate everything you've done and I love watching the journey. And we're gonna try to get you on a little more here now that you have so much free time, it sounds like. So
Yeah,
it's good
I'm
stuff.
good. I'm good now, fellas.
I love it. I love it. All right, Kristen, you're up. We'll start out with the easy questions, right? The
Okay.
easy stuff. So the easy stuff, what moves the needle for you? What's making a difference in your production this year? Sustaining it, growing it, keeping it from, from some of the pitfalls we hear all the other LOs talking about, continue to work with the vets. I know you shared a few of these things in the past. Are they similar or they changed a little bit? What's important to you on a day-to-day basis?
So great question. I mean, majority of everything that I do, what's important to me is staying in communication with all parties during the transaction and making sure everybody has a really good experience. Um, I mean, just little things like at the end of all of my emails and my pre-approvals, I thank everybody for their service and for protecting my rights, which they don't really hear a lot. Um, I always stay in contact, just like Joey and Steven, buyer's agent, listing agent, and title company. Everybody gets updates on Tuesday. I call it Touch Base Tuesday. And then I pull in every single title rep.
Steps back in the end.
Sorry.
Oops, that's all good.
I pull in every single title rep and make a really good relationship with all the title reps because then I go out and set up a class with the title reps to teach CE classes. So I tap into their database by doing that, by reaching out to them because they've got the database for all the other agents and different title companies around town. I talk to a lot of people. So same thing like both guys, I just talk a lot to everybody. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if it's at the gas station, tow truck guy, like everybody knows that I love to help individuals purchase home or refinance and follow up. That's where most loan officers fall short, is they don't follow up. And I follow up all the time, even if it's years. And here's an example. I've been chasing one of the military coaches from KW here in Texas, Spring, Texas. I've been talking to him for 4 years. I taught a class and I go to my veteran cigar nights, and each time I've been pinging him and talking to him. And this last time I brought up to him and I was talking to him about tax strategies and building wealth using the VA loan and how to help him build out his retirement portfolio with his VA loan because all of his children have now exited the home and they're all in college. And that was the first time in 4 years that he actually wanted to talk to me because usually he just brushes me off, asked me to have coffee, and went and had coffee with him. I'm doing his duplex purchase, and he invited me to KW last week. I taught their military class for them. But my point is that it took 4 years. So I just keep going. Even if they tell me no, because one day you're going to need me. It's just a matter of when.
That's good. So, for people like me, and I'm not going to say me and you, I don't want to pull you down to my level, but I might not be as good a detective as Joey, and I might not be uh, sorry, as Steven, and I might not be as funny as Joey, and I'm certainly not as well spoken as you or as persistent as you, but like we can all do this, right? It's some of you can do it in 2 years or 3 years. Some of you, it takes 5 years, 10 years. Me, it's probably going to take 25 years, but at the end of the day, it's there in the disciplines, in the persistence, and kind of sticking to the mission. Now, when you're working with these agents that you meet through the classes and you build these relationships and all that kind of stuff, does it feel like a stickier relationship because you've gotten to know them, you've been to class, you did so much work putting all this energy in? Does it feel like it's going to be more of a long-term type of relationship, or do you feel that the agents just kind of come and go and you got to keep filling up, you got to keep finding new ones?
No, I mean, mine are all longtime agents. And I mean, my biggest thing is that I hear agents tell me all the time, well, we already have preferred lenders in the office. I have people that I work with, and I say, great. All I want is your VA loans. Send them all your conventional and FHA. I just want your VA loans. And then I update them and keep them updated on text messages, videos. I use Sly Broadcast a lot to communicate with borrowers and to realtors to send out updates so that it hits everybody at the same time. But no, mine is for the long haul. And it's, I want you to know that when you get a VA loan, whether it's now, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the road, that I'm the girl that you're calling to make sure that I do your transaction. So, I mean, we've got 42,000 realtors in Houston, and they're going to come, they're going to go, they're going to, stay in the business, they're going to leave the business, but the ones that continue to stay and keep going, I want to build those relationships with and continue forward.
Now, I hope you don't hate me for this because, I mean, heck, we put Steven and Joey out there, and how hard is it to follow those guys? I mean, again, we go up, we go down. How's this year going for you in the end? I mean, if you got to look back, I mean, some good VA units, you think, or?
Yeah, so good VA units. I'm actually lighter this year, to be honest with
Mhm.
you, on VA than I was last year. I mean, I'm nowhere close to what Steven is. Um, Even though a good majority of my business is VA. I'll end up close to 70 units this year, but definitely I'm more of a 60-40 on government side versus conventional.
But I mean, for the
So
industry, that's outstanding. We're just comparing ourselves to greatness, but at the end of the day, that's still pretty darn good for sure. So I love it. I
well,
love it.
thank
Now,
you.
if you're okay with it, I'm gonna do the same thing. We'll throw you that little curveball. Like I say, Kristen, no more Houston. You got to leave because you have a stalker there that won't leave you alone or whatever. And you got this great job offer in Columbus, and then it fell apart. And now you're in Lauren's market. You got to compete against her. Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible. What would you do though? Like if you were put off in a different market and you had kind of had to maybe start over. I mean, yeah, you can work. Some of your old connections over the phone, but like what would you do if you had to sort of kind of start fresh?
If I had to start fresh, I would definitely teach classes. That is one of the fastest ways to get yourself in front of realtors and introduce myself to all the title companies. So I would pick a radius around everywhere that I want to go, pick those title companies, set up classes with all those title companies, probably once a quarter, and probably do 4 to 6 classes a month at all of those title companies to get to know agents, and then start meeting them through open houses. Get in every military Facebook group I possibly can that's in Facebook in that surrounding area, making sure that I'm educating at the American Legions and also at the VFWs, and then insert myself into multiple different veteran communities to get to know everybody.
I love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, I got a couple people looking to join there. All right. Well, I appreciate you hopping on, just kind of impromptu there. If it's okay, John, can I ask you to kind of help us close this out? I mean, we were doing a fireside chat. We don't really have a fire. You had this theme. We were going to try to stick with the vets, but I think it kind of turned into let's talk to the people that are, for sure producing and moving the needle and
So I just got on another call.
oops, that's not John. I know who that is, but sorry,
Sorry,
Thelma.
that was me. I was not muted. I went from one call to another. Sorry not to be rude. Hold
It's
on.
okay.
And talk
I'm
badly
muting.
about us.
I'm
Right?
not. I'm here because I'm late, but I'm here.
There you go.
I was about ready to drop some really good knowledge, Probably
So,
not.
so talk to us, John. What moves the needle for you? I mean, is it making the pickleball needle, the movies? I mean, no, for real. what is it that you think is making a difference in keeping your volume up or bringing new stuff in and things that real LLs can do?
Well, I mean, for me, like my motivation is to keep my team employed. Like I have a large team that I probably should have downsized a while ago, but I really want to keep them because I know when the market turns, I don't want to retrain and rehire, and I actually care about my employees on that. So I know that I need to bring business in to keep them employed, and I also really truly believe that every VA loan that I close, that's one less than Veterans United, and I'm doing my job there because from protecting them from lack of knowledge and high rates and high fees, and they're notorious for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Um, I know that it's important, and so like a lot of things that like Kristen said is how I start off with my new realtor relationships. I offered to teach a class, and my best class that I teach is the myth busting class, or how to get an offer that the sellers will accept. And I say, listen, like when you think of me, think of VA. I say that at least twice a day, and say, but my joke is this: I'm selfish. I want all of your business. My ego is so big. I want to have the most loans closed. But when you think of me, think of VA because every VA loan that doesn't close reinforces the negative stereotype that VA loans are harder. And when in fact, when you take the time to learn, they're the easiest loans. And if more agents would educate themselves, I promise you that if you're a listing agent and you had a $500,000 conventional offer and a $500,000 VA offer, it is best for the buyer and the seller and everybody involved to accept the VA offer. And then sometimes they challenge me on that, and then we have a healthy debate. And if it gets a little contentious, is that, you know what, how about we do this in person? I'd love to buy you a coffee on that, and things like that. So I really push that because I VA is still like I noticed like a lot of like the broker community, like new mortgage guys and things like that. They're adopting, like, they're kind of going more heavily VA focused, or maybe it's just the ones that I'm connected to. But I think we were early and first, and we still have that a little bit where not a lot of people are asking for that VA business in it. And so because I've been doing it so consistently, I actually had like one of my favorite realtors said, "Hey, did you know this about a 203K loan?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's old news." He's like, "Well, my lender only talks VA, so how would I know?" And so it's like, oh, well, maybe I should, make sure I'm more well-rounded in um, my video marketing, but as you see with my video marketing, it's more just trying to make people laugh and to stay top of mind. So when a mortgage opportunity arises, they think of me.
Well, sometimes you know do more than VA loans, obviously, and you're got to know more. And I've had moments with different folks in VMA and VSC where I'm like, guys, we really kind of need to know all about the mortgage business to help our vets. I mean, we need to know the other products too, just in case there's something that matters on, a back-to-back closing. I got to go help the other folks close their deal so you can close your deal, or maybe your entitlement's jacked up and I do have to use another product for one reason or another, or trying to put a fiance on loan, all this kind of stuff. There's lots of reasons to have to know all the other products. And I do find some LOs, they'll come to us or VMA and just say like, hey, I want this 1 day training, or I did the damn class. Cool, great. I'm glad that you guys did that. And you want to learn a little bit about the VA, but some of them don't want to dive as deep as the four of you that are on this call, and they just say like, I love vets, but this isn't quite my thing. I like to do all loans for all people. And I say, okay, that's your business plan, and you produce a lot, great. But did you know that if you really kind of get good at something, that's a key to get into the door to a lot of real estate offices. Like this
Yeah.
guy's the best at VA. We need to listen to him talk. And I know a lot of us have found. I know the last several of you that have come on camera here have definitely found using that can be that key or that angle or that hook, if you will, to get their attention. And like you said, yeah, I'm great at loans. I'm selfish. I want all your business. My team is really, really good. You're using that to get in the door, but then get all their business because you're like, well, these people do 20% VA. That's cool. They do 30%. Yes, I want all their VA loans, but they're a really cool team. And if I do, an extra 5 conventional loans a year, I get to keep my employees and I get to serve more veterans because if I have a team, I can market more and I can sell more. And part of that is keeping the revenue going, right? I mean, you got to have the money to do it. So I think some of us, and we're back up and say, well, I can pair off a little bit and I can cancel all this and I can get rid of some employees and I can share some LOAs and I can produce a little less. Okay, cool. That's great. Guess who's eating your lunch? Veterans United, all day long. Because they're
Yeah,
not
it's like
backing up.
for me, I'm a little nervous because like I always would get like 15 to 20 VA loans off of my AM talk radio ads. And on
Mhm.
starting on January 1st, I am completely off the radio and I'm all in on Meta ads and Google ads on that. And so I'm cut my budget in half to kind of save there, but you always got to be marketing and not being afraid to spend money, which I know it's really hard because when you don't have money, that's money is the only problem that matters. But investing in yourself, and that's how when I first started, when like if I could only just close 5 loans a month, man, I could have an extra couple $100 for marketing. And then I just kept reinvesting that marketing, and in my heyday, I was up to like $20,000 a month just in marketing. Which sounds crazy to say now, and now I'm back down to like 2,500 on it. And so I'm trying to market smarter on that as well. And obviously the overall market has changed a little bit on it. And
Okay.
I've had to get better at other loans. Like I'm doing at least 2 DSCR loans a month. And just to cast that wide net on there just to bring revenue in so I can focus on the things that I love. And one day, I mean, I'm just if to answer your question, if I could go back and I had to start all over again, I'd probably do the Stephen D way of just being a one-man show or maybe just one LOA and focusing and having that niche in VA and leading with education. And then I would have to still do my dumbass videos to do it. But I've always looked at myself as my job is to make the phone ring and have that knowledge. Like I made myself like the VA expert on my team, and then I hired people to complement my weaknesses to make me a more well-rounded person. I have no ambition to be the guy that knows all the guidelines in the non-QM world or like, hey, I should go LP instead of DU. I'm like, I can hire that out on that. Um,
So just, I'll put you on the spot, and I'm sure I'm not too nervous about this, but at the end of the year, I mean, maybe you didn't do as much as last year, but you still
uh,
closed 50, 60, 70 VA loans, something like that.
It's like right at 48 is what I'm going to end up at, a little shy of 50, and 115 or 116 if that one closes on it. But I am going to do a little cop out because I'm a big baby and my ego is so fragile. I'm going to blame the hurricane where I went from,
Yeah.
yeah, I went from like 12 loans to 2 loans in the hurricane month on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's been a very challenging year on it. But I know that what has motivated me is I know I'm really good at VA loans. I know my value proposition is good for VA. And every VA loan that doesn't close reinforces the negative stereotype, and it's part of the mission on that. And so if I could just go out there and make one video or send one email blast or make a post in a Facebook group that could bring in just one extra deal, I'm doing that job, and I gotta get motivated to protect them from VU on that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, we can sit here and keep chatting, but I'm gonna just kind of pause it and stop. But I want you guys to know next week I'm gonna go back through the calls and the archive and a lot of the things we did this year, and I'm gonna do a best of 2025. If you still have time before Christmas, I'm gonna come up with or best of 2024, and we'll try to put a couple pieces together so that you guys have a 2025 playbook. Worst case, I'm going to give you 2 or 3 pages on things that all the big hitters are doing, what you need to do, the daily habits and the things that do move the needle and make a difference. Because if we're not out there bringing more transactions in, like you just said, John, the other lender is bringing them in and they're not doing them as well, and our vets are not getting service. So, it's cool and fun as it is to know a lot about VA and to be able to close 1 or 2 transactions, it's a lot cooler to help a larger number of people if possible. So that's what I got. If anybody else has something super like knowledgeable they want to drop right now, something profound, now would be the time. But I get it, man. It's been a long year and it's about time to relax, but we wanna be ready for next year. We want to have the right habits and skills and be growing a little bit every single day.
I mean, I'll drop a nugget in there for everybody. If you want to have a good quarter 1, start setting up 4 to 6 classes that are all going to hit in January and beginning of February.
Love it.
100%.
I love it. Yeah, I mean we talked about habits that make a difference and disciplines that matter. And I threw some simple things out a few weeks ago. I've been talking to a few folks here one on one. I'll throw it out there again. If anybody needs a little bit of one on one help, feel free to message me. Most of you on this call, you're inner circle. Like we want to help you guys, and some of you get stuck from time to time. I talked to one of our people last night for a good half an hour. Kind of, he was in a rough place a few months ago. He's got himself back. His head's on. He's got a good pipeline, the whole 9 yards. So sometimes you just need somebody to kick you in the pants a little bit. But yeah, getting that class in the books, and you go, oh, I wanted to teach 6 classes. I only got 4. Cool. At least you did 4. You didn't do 0, right? So I like it.